Hello. All right. If your audience doesn't trust you, they will not buy no matter what. Okay. Maybe if it's a quickie, $5 or less type of thing. But other than that, people want to feel trust. And for most of you, you're selling things that are way more than $5. It's a good way to bring them into your world with the low ticket products. If you're trying to build trust, if you're creating something that rocks and you're charging low ticket, that's a great way to start building that trust. But the bottom line is, most of what you sell, they will not buy from you unless they trust you, even the low ticket items. So even if it's like an amazing offer, they're still going to be hesitant. They're still going to feel like, is this a scam? Is this real? Is this going to be a waste of time? Do I even need this? A million things are going to go through their head. So what does that mean? It means you need to help build that trust. And one of the best ways to do that is through positioning. So let's talk about positioning today, what it is, what it's not, and how that can help you. And today, if you're listening, I have, sorry, if you drop self-audit, SELF dash or space AUDIT, self-audit. If you drop self-audit, I'm going to give you the positioning audit that you can do by yourself to go through it and just see like what it's looking like for you. How well are you positioned, and how much work do you have? So we've all got work. I mean, nobody is 110% like I'm all in, just amazingly positioned. Nobody. There's always ways that you can improve in what you do. So even if you think your positioning is good, just pay attention. I love to hear throughout like what yours is for a particular thing when we talk about it. So just feel free to engage and drop commenting. All right. So what is positioning? How you are perceived in the market. There's a big difference in this. And this means what you think of yourself and what you think your brand is about is not what your brand is about, and it's not your positioning. It's what the market perceives. That's what your positioning is. And so when we talk about being in control of our personal brand, that's what we mean. Let's be in control of how they perceive us, right? Let's control that narrative as much as humanly possible. So it's not your tagline, your logo, or your color palette, right? All of that factors into trust, because if they see the same thing over and over again, that definitely does help them feel that trust. But it's way more about your clarity. I would say almost more than anything, your clarity, your confidence. Even if you know you have a great product, if you stand up, even if you know you have a great product, if you show up trying to talk about your product, but you're like, well, I've got this thing, and some people might like it. I mean, who's going to believe that? There's like no credibility, no trust, zero confidence. And that is just in how you say it. So a lot of times my clients will say, what should I charge for whatever it is that I'm doing? And my answer typically at the beginning is as high as you can say with a straight face. What does that mean? That means you need to be able to lean into it, own it, and really feel confident saying it. So whether that's your price, what your offer is, what you can help somebody do, what you can do for somebody. And, sometimes maybe it's just the repetition of saying it over and over again. You will build your own confidence. So walk around saying it, right? You'll build your own confidence in saying it. But it's also the repetition of putting it out there, of actually helping people do. All of that will build your confidence, and it shows. Like, no matter what anybody says, they can feel your confidence one way or the other, whether that's high confidence or low confidence, right? So it's your clarity, your confidence, and your category of one status. So clarity, confidence, category of one status. You see that 3 C's, little Erica cheese for you. The category of one status is something that everybody's like, oh my God, like that's impossible. There's like this sea of sameness. Everybody's doing the same thing as I'm doing. But you filter into your category of one. The more you show up as you, that's why AI can't beat you. Those bazillion other coaches cannot beat you at being you. That's how you build that category of one. And there are people, I could teach the exact same thing as you. I mean, like, let's say we studied it word for word and memorized it. I can't memorize anything. But let's just pretend for a second. We studied something word for word. We memorized it. We said it like the exact same words and sold the exact same thing. Some of you would hear me and be like, oh my God, that's so me. I need that. And hear you or another person saying the exact same thing and be like, psh, like to scroll right past. And others of you will do the exact opposite. Listen to somebody else say the same thing and be like, oh my God, yes. So how many times in life did your mother tell you to do something? And you were like, blah, 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 blah. And then somebody else. Okay, so your mother tells you to do something and it's like in one ear, out the other, in one ear and out the other. Then somebody else says something. Now, does this mean that you don't trust your mother? No. What this means is somebody who you trust about X topic said something. And you were like, what a great idea. And your mom's like, right? If your mom's, you're probably feeling me right now too, right? But when you were little, did that happen to you as a kid? So if you have that confidence and you can show that confidence to your clients, they will feel it, right? They will feel it and they will hear it. So even if somebody else is saying the exact same thing, if they will feel your vibration, right? They'll feel your confidence. You combine that with your category of one, and you put that all together, and that's a great mix that nobody can mess with. And that means if I've got the confidence, but you're not kind of feeling my category of oneness, meaning I don't bring you into my world, it's still going to go in one ear and out the other. You have to have the clarity, the confidence, and the category of one. You have to have all of it for somebody to be like, oh my God, that's so me, right? All right, so it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. It's like the big, this is like the big dream, right? This is what we want to happen. Somebody's at a party, somebody else says something. And person A says, oh my God, you need to talk to Erica, right? So let me give you a little bit of an example. You're at a party and somebody's talking about their business and they're like, God, I'm doing like everything. I'm posting, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I can't get any appointments or I get no clients or something like that. Your response will be, you need to speak to Erica. She rocks at that, right? She can get you converting, visible, moving from 0 to clients, from sporadic clients to consistent clients and growing. All right. So you need to think of the same thing. What is it that you want somebody to say about you when you're not in the room? That's when you have that true clarity of who you are. If they can repeat what you think it is. Perception. And sometimes, just a caveat here, sometimes we hear people saying something about us and we're like, that's not really what I was going for. If you have been in that position, I know I have. If you've been in that position, don't be like, oh, this is not working. No. Be like, oh, they're hearing something that's not quite what I want them to be hearing and saying. What does that mean? That means you up your game, right? You start putting yourself out there more and repeating the phrases and the words and the things that you want them to hear about you. That's why messaging is huge, and messaging will put you in your position, help you with your positioning. So remember, clarity creates trust. Trust creates clients. Has to be in that order. You can't have trust with no clarity. So it starts with clarity, creates the trust. Trust creates the clients. All right, so let's talk about 3 signs your positioning is broken or maybe not up to par. So one of them I just talked about, right? We're not going to do 3. We're just going to do some. One of them I just talked about. If you hear people saying something about you that isn't really what you like, maybe it's part of what you do, or it's in alignment with what you do, but it's not really like the gist of what you want them to say. You want to start figuring out a way to correct that when you show up. So examples of other ones. You get a lot of compliments, but no clients. Ooh, that was great. Oh yeah, I totally agree. Good, but no clients. No clients, right? So they think, attaboy. It's kind of like your mom, like, woo, woo, you're doing so good. I love it. I'm proud of you. But she's not going to hire you. So you need to have like the compliments from the people that are going to hire you, right? That know, like, and trust you and want what you have. So you're great on paper, but still being overlooked. That's another one. You know, you have all the credentials and you're like, everybody is hiring so-and-so coach or these 3 other coaches. Why am I not booked to the hilt? I know that I know more than them. Just like saying what's in our head sometimes, right? So you're great on paper, but still being overlooked. So tell me, is that one you, great on paper? Or are you the one that gets the compliments, but no clients? People say, wow, I just love your content, but they don't DM you. That's kind of the same one as the compliments, right? Oh, I love your content, but they don't DM you. So maybe you spend, 4 hours creating these amazing, like, professional looking graphics. And people love them. They're beautiful, but they're not giving them what they want, right? They're not building the trust that they need. So, I love your content. Huh? All right. If you feel like a best kept secret in your niche, again, if that is resonating, your positioning is not working. So why does positioning build trust? We talked about a couple of different ones, but clarity, right? Clarity builds confidence. The clearer you are, the more confident you're going to be. The clearer they are in what you are saying, the more confident they are going to be in how you can help them get from A to B. What does that mean? That means that you have to come out there and show them, hey, I can move you from here to here. Like, you need to talk about that. You need to show them that same thing a million times in a million different ways. If you can do that, then they are like, oh, this is exactly what she does. This is how she can help me. And I love her and I want her to help me. I know she's the one that can help me, whatever, right? As long as they are super clear in what you do, that's going to build their confidence that you can do what you're saying you can do. Specificity equals credibility. Let's not get all bogged down on this one. Specificity means, I know where everybody's going to go with this. If you're talking about an overall niche, the more niched in you are, is the more specific you are. However, a lot of us have problems like really digging deep into one niche, and I get that. Where you can do the specificity is in your scenario. So if you do one piece of content, right? Each piece of content should fix one problem and give them, the solution or the fix to that problem. Talk about one problem and fix the problem. one piece of content. But it can also give them a specific scenario or pull them into the video or the piece of content based on a certain situation or scenario. That can be your specificity. Your specificity can also be in your numbers, right? There are a lot of analytical people out there. You can be very specific about that. So there are a lot of different ways to build the credibility through specificity. But what it means is if you're super general and just like blah, blah, blahing about something that everybody can say, then it's not that specific. So that's where you bring in your stories, add those stories, add examples, specific examples. We're going to go into some. And I'm going to talk about this again in a few minutes. So bring in specific examples, bring in specific scenarios or situations or how they specifically can use it. Don't generally say it, right? All right, positioning makes it obvious. Obvious. Who you help and how. So a couple of years ago, it was really big to literally call out people. So a lot of you that have been around for a while, like when you learned even niching, you learned like, oh, I work with women over 40 who, have 6 kids and are corporate and blah, 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 blah. You could still do all that. I'm not saying you shouldn't, because the more you understand your person, the better off you are. But when you know that you're working with women over 40 with 6 kids who work corporate, blah, 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 the scenarios that you're going to talk about are what is going to hit her differently than for me, for example, who doesn't have 6 kids, right? Or a bunch of kids. Or if you're bringing that into the equation, it's because that affects, her or what time she has or her mind or something about what you do and what you help her with. Do you see where I'm going with that? So when you get very specific on the people you can help and how you can help them, you have to get specific on, example. I talk a lot about entrepreneurs being very distracted, right? We have shiny object syndrome. We see like 1,000,001 different things. We want to do them all. We want to do them all at the same time. I talk about that. That's very specific, right? There are a lot of people who would never resonate with that. They'd be like, what is wrong with you? Right? Most of people who are not entrepreneurs would not resonate with that. Why? Because our brains work like that. To us, it's like, yeah, doesn't everybody's brain work like this? No, it doesn't. But we get it. So that would be very specific, because who would it be turning off? It'd be turning off those people whose brains don't work like that. And I don't even need to say, women over 40, blah, 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 blah. It could be in my references. It can be in how I speak, what I speak about. A lot of times I might talk about being close to retirement. Well, if you're 20, that's probably not hitting you, stuff like that. So that's how you can bring in the specificity also. All right. So remember, why? Why are we worried about clarity? Why are we worried about positioning? Clarity creates trust. Trust creates clients. Say it again with me. Clarity creates trust. Trust creates clients. All right. Let's talk about the framework that we're going to use to build trust through positioning. This is like one of your main goals when you are putting yourself out there. So P, if you are cheesy like me and following the acronym, get your paper and pen out. We are starting. P, pinpoint the problem. See that double P? I got excited. All right, pinpoint the problem. Don't dance around it. Don't be so broad. Be direct. Use the exact words your clients use. So super distracted. That's something that's going to resonate with a lot of my clients, right? Squirrel brain. We've heard that so many times that resonates with all of us. If I said that outside of our world, they probably start thinking, does that mean you're hungry and you store food away? What is squirrel brain? They might not know, just saying. So use exact words that your audience uses. And then okay, let me give you an example. All right, if you know me, you know I love the Big Mac. I love talking about McDonald's. I think McDonald's is one of the reasons I like started, like one of the things that sparked my love for marketing is McDonald's. I'm fascinated by the fact that we crave McDonald's. I eat Big Macs, like love them. I intellectually understand that a hamburger made from my house is way better. I get that, you know, if you go to Fridays, the hamburgers are better, that there are a million one places where the hamburgers are better. Burger King, the hamburgers are really just better. I know that. I don't want Burger King. I want McDonald's. And most of the time, I don't want ones in my house. I want McDonald's. Why? Because McDonald's, they rock at marketing, but they've also pinpointed the problem, right? They know that we want something fast. They know that we want something juicy and delicious, and they tell us what we think about the Big Mac, right? But then they bring us in and make us feel good about it because they make things like yellow is their color. Why? Because it's happy. It makes us feel happy to go to McDonald's, right? They create an atmosphere of something that we're craving. And every single thing that they do in their marketing revolves around certain things to make us feel happy about going to McDonald's. That's why it's called the happy meal, right? We are happy to go there. So they pinpointed that maybe we need like a little slice of happiness. They've pinpointed that we need, you know, something that tastes juicy and delicious, but doesn't break the budget. That type of thing. And they lean into it. And you need to do the same thing. You need to lean into it. Right. And they don't talk necessarily, like I said, be direct, don't dance around it. McDonald's is McDonald's. They have a little bit more leniency than you and I do, right? So although they don't directly say, come to McDonald's, it'll make you happy, right? They still do everything to make you feel that. And you need to do the same in your business. You just need to be a little bit more direct in what you're doing because you haven't been around for a bazillion years. You haven't instilled that emotion and that feeling in everybody and anybody that sees you and knows you. You need to build that up over time, right? But if you think about it, everything that you do can revolve around it. And now if you pinpoint the problem that you want to solve and you know very clearly what you're trying to help, example, the name of my program is Clients on Repeat. How does that hit you? That hits everyone that wants to hire me because they are not getting consistent clients. They're like, some months good, some months bad. I don't know where my next, you know, client is coming from type thing. So that hits them on a level, but it also doesn't speak to other people. Like the business who has clients off the wazoo and they're trying to get their time back, that's not speaking to them, right? That's something else that, you know, anyway, you get it. All right. So McDonald's isn't the best. The Big Mac isn't the best, but people crave it because branding, emotional attachment, that type of thing. And they've done that because they pinpointed what we want. All right. So the O is own your zone of genius. Again, I love the term lean in. I love that term. Own your zone of genius. Know exactly who you are, who you help, why you help them, how you help them. Don't be a generalist. Well, I can help everybody do everything. Yeah, I've been doing this since 2007. I have a ton of knowledge. But if I just walked around talking about a different piece of a ton of my knowledge all of the time, nobody would know what I do and who I can help or any of that. I have to pull them in my world in a certain way. And then I can open that whole back end, once I know them and know what else that they need. But if I talk about every single thing that I do, it's never going to touch anybody. So don't be a generalist. Be known for one thing. Be known for one thing. So what would I say mine is? I would say like attraction specialist is probably what I'm known for. Attraction. I teach people how to attract their right fit client, right? All right. So the Breakfast Club of Coaches. What do I mean by this? This is my example. Does everybody remember the Breakfast Club? If you have not seen it, you're clearly way younger than me. It is a classic, The Breakfast Club, one of the best movies of all time. But one of the concepts, I guess the ideas behind the Breakfast Club is every single person in there is like totally 360 degrees different, 180 degrees, however you would say that, different, opposites. So yeah, probably 180 degrees different than everyone else in there. What does that mean? Don't try to be the honor roll student. Don't try to be the honor roll student. Don't try to be the athlete if you're not the athlete. It means be yourself. People connect and people will know who you are. They'll feel it. They'll get it. They'll want to be around you because of it. They want to be around you because of who you are. So don't squelch that. Don't try to be somebody else because you're like, oh my God, she does this, and that's why she gets clients. No, she gets clients because she's who she is. You will get clients too if you would just act like you. People would love you for you. You're amazing. So lean into you. Own your zone of genius. And what does that mean? That means go back to the last one and also pinpoint the problem. Don't be a generalist. Stay in your lane, as they like to say. All right, the W, weave in proof. In as much as you can, you want to bring proof into what you're talking about. How can you do that? Well, I am bringing you proof by way of brands, right? So I'm bringing you little stories or examples rather of brands. That's how I'm going to bring proof of what positioning is all about. But you could bring in statistics. You could bring in, so some people would say testimonials. I'm going to say case studies. Why is a case study so much more powerful? Because there's a story behind it. And so if you can weave them into that, if you use that story as your proof, you're bringing people into that story and making themselves see themselves in your content, which we will talk about in a second. But you want to bring in proof in any way you can. So let me give you an analogy. A general doctor. Oh, I should have used this for my generalist one. I might have done these backwards. Whatever. Here's another good example. A general doctor makes $80,000. A neurosurgeon makes $800,000. Same hours, radically different positioning. Radically different positioning. And one's generalist and one's specialist. Lean in, right? Lean into who you are. And then that should have been on the last one. All right. So proof. Bring in stories. Bring in like my Big Mac example. That is proof about positioning. The neurosurgeon, that is proof of positioning. All right. E, express a clear POV. Just so we know, it's POWE. Who doesn't know the word yet? Drop it down below if you already know it. So express a clear POV. What is POV? Point of view. And it should be your point of view. All right. So thought leaders, take a stand. And when I say this, I do not mean a political stand, a religious stand. I mean a stand in your niche about what you talk about. Take a stand there. Say what others won't. Let your brand have an edge. It's important. And if you can't think of like what you say that's different from everybody else, you could You can have ChatGPT give you like, what are the top points in my niche, and see like, do I agree? Do I disagree? Have a conversation. I love ChatGPT for any type of conversation you want to dive into. But more than likely, if you're in the niche, you've got something. You have something already. So one of the ones I can think about that I stand on is, I think you should post as often as you actually can post. And some people will tell you, you should post once a week. You should post, don't post any more than, once a day, whatever. I say, don't believe the hype. Why? Because it's marketing, and marketing is tried and true. Tried and true. Marketing has been proven over and over and over again to work. And what is marketing? It's repetition. It's getting in somebody's head. It's having them understand your positioning and being able to talk about it at a party. That is what it's all about. And they can't do that if you're not telling them over and over and over and over and over again. So don't believe the hype. Post as much as you can. But that doesn't mean put a bunch of trash out there. It doesn't mean put a bunch of stuff that has nothing to do with who you are and what you're all about. It means as many times as you can show your leadership, your skills, help them in what you help them do through your post it. Does that make sense? You have questions? Let me know. All right. So take a stand, be a thought leader. And I know a lot of you are like, oh, God, that's crazy. I don't know if I want to be. Yes, you do. That is the ultimate positioning, right? First, it's having your audience understand who you are and what you're all about. But you want to bump that up. It's having your peers see you understand who you are and what you're all about. That's when it gets there. All right. And then the last one is reflect our power. I love that word, power. Reflect their reality. And I'm going to go a little bit further on this one and say, reflect their reality or their future reality. Because if you can show them that it's possible for them to be the person that they want to be, and you can show them that's possible, that it's their future reality, they're going to go for that. So reflect the reality or show them who you know that they can be. And by doing that, it's make them feel seen. Like make them feel like, oh my God, that's so me, right? And is it that so me today, or that's so me who I want to be? That's okay. You can do that too. But if you can get them to raise their hand, you have built instant trust. If you can get them to say yes, they will see themselves in what you're saying. And there's that connection. There's that bond between you, and that builds trust. All right, let's look at Tiffany & Co. Everybody knows the little blue box, right? Tiffany & Co. So what is the difference between that and mall jewelry? Like just going to the mall and buying jewelry. And I mean, if you go to the mall and buy jewelry, you can buy, 18 karat gold at Tiffany's, 18 karat gold in the mall. Why would somebody pay premium, and I mean probably 100x times prices for Tiffany than they would for the thing in the mall if they're both 18 karat gold? Like, why? Positioning commands premium prices. A diamond is not a diamond, right? If you get a diamond from Tiffany's, it says a lot more than if you get a diamond from just anywhere. Now, is that important to everybody? No, it's not. But for the people that that's important to, that are worried about status, or that love status, or that love that type of thing, it's worth it to them to pay that price. So that's where your positioning comes in. Your positioning commands that premium pricing in what they are after. And that's where we talk about their reality. Reflect what they're after, what their reality is. All right. If you want the positioning self-audit, drop, what did I say? Self-audit, drop self-audit, and I will send it your way. Think of anything that I missed. Let me just recap, reframe. So you don't need to change your offer. You don't need to change what you're doing. You need to sharpen your positioning. Sharpen your positioning. So when people trust you, they will choose you. This happens all of the time. And this, we're talking about $10 products to $10 million sales. People buy from people they trust. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. You've heard it a million times, but hopefully this is drilling in why that positioning is so important. So it's not earned by shouting louder. It's built through clarity, specificity, and proof. So you can't just be everywhere a million and one times with blah, blah, blah. That it has to build, you have to build that specificity, the proof, and the clarity into your content and into what you're doing. All right. If you know that your positioning needs an upgrade, I want you to drop self-audit below. If you want to just check if your positioning needs an upgrade, drop self-audit below. All right. Is that it? I believe that was it. So remember, clarity creates trust. Trust creates clients. Go get them. Have an amazing rest of your day. We will be back next week. Same time, same place. Ciao, ciao.